right, welcome into another edition of Catching Up with Tommy Mack here on at 1010XL. We're not on the podcast platform at 1010XL.com like we normally are, and on their app. We're on Facebook Live, and of course we'll share it all the way out there to you. Brought to you by my good friends, Chris Lucero, Bail Bonds, the number one name in the bail game. I love wearing his swag. Of course, Chris is owner of AA Bail Bonds, but now rebranding as Chris Lucero. I told you before, family friend of ours needed some help. In a dark moment, he came in a shining light, got things taken care of, got them out of the jail and into, back into their home. So I tell you what, you don't want his services, but if you ever need them, he's a great one to have. Of course, the Carpet Man, home of luxury vinyl planking. You can't get it anywhere else for the highest quality and the kind of cost. You can't beat it. Trust me, check him out on Wells Road in Orange Park and also on St. John's Bluff Road right there in the heart of Jacksonville by Craig Airfield. And carpet, laminate, tile, and the LVP, of course, right here at 1010XL. All right, let's welcome in Graham Marsh. Hi, Graham. What's up, dude? Doing good?
Yes, sir.
All right, the young buck is here. He normally produces the show, does all the cut-ups, does everything for it. So Fantastic. All right, before we start the show, happy Memorial Day weekend. Of course, this is in honor of every military member that has died serving their country, serving our great country. If it's Veterans Day, if it's Memorial Day, I know we try to, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. For me, it's Military Appreciation Day, right? I mean, the troops, the current troops, the veterans, who I have veterans, of course, in my family, just all across the board. So happy Memorial Day, especially to our military families, no doubt about it. The ones that are still here, the ones that have passed on, I tell you, and it's not just the one that leaves, it's the family that stays too, right? That's, I often thought, like Pat Tillman, great story. It was phenomenal, right? No doubt. He leaves the NFL to go fight for our country, and that's a huge sacrifice. Of course, the media built it up to be this gigantic thing, and it should be, but let's be honest here. Leaving your family, what's that worth? You know what I mean? That's, so it's all, anybody that does it, man, I hold you in the highest honor, man, the highest regard. But happy Memorial Day weekend. We'll get you started off, right? All right, big news today, ad nauseum. You'll hear it on the radio all throughout Jacksonville that Riley Patterson has been traded to the Detroit Lions for a conditional pick, probably 7th rounder, and the Jags signed Brandon McManus, a second McManus in Jacksonville, Graham. What do you think about that? Spelled the same way. Mike Dempsey told me, me and Brandon
shoes to fill.
I didn't know we had a kicker in the lineage, in the DNA.
That's big time.
It's almost like an oxymoron for me.
You had a little brother.
I love kickers. I love kickers when they make their freaking kicks. I love them.
You had a long lost cousin this entire time.
I guess so. I wonder where that is. But hey, you know what? Look, at the end of the day, it comes down to, and I liked Riley Patterson. He was fine. He went on a run, too. This is what's interesting. I mentioned it on the radio as I was just on, that every other player seemed that played well towards the end got rewarded. He went 19-20 in the end. Missed one kick in the rain, I think. And no, we're going to upgrade it. But that's what it comes down to, man. If you're upgradable, you get upgraded when the timing's right. Brandon McManus is a top 5 or 10 kicker. He just is. And here's the deal. He can kick it from a longer distance, way farther than Patterson did or could. And even Matthew Wright's long was 54. Brandon McManus makes 54 in his sleeve, man.
I was about to say Matthew Wright's long was 54, and he made it by about
half
a centimeter.
I know. McManus, he puts it through no problem, man. He's got the legs. So I like it. How did you feel? I mean, it was a little surprising. All of a sudden, like, wow, Riley Patterson's gone.
Yeah, Riley was fine. Riley wasn't Scobie or somebody like that, or Mike Hollis, but he was a good kicker, solid, got the job done. But you're exactly right. There was somebody better, and I think both of our opinions available on the market that typically wouldn't be available. Yeah, it was kind of a weird Broncos thing to get rid of him. Yeah. So when in my opinion, a relatively premier kicker like that is available. And you can trade Patterson as well.
Yeah, so they tried to waive him, and then Detroit called, hey, we'll take him. We can take a pick. And they're like, hell yeah, I'll take a pick.
Yeah, so you got, not only did you in most people's opinion, upgrade the position.
Yeah.
But you got compensation for Riley all the way out the door.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's a big win for
And he may have a great career with Detroit. He's now indoors.
He was great. He was great here.
He was.
I hope he has a phenomenal career.
I think it came down also to, like, look, Riley Patterson, great year last year. Is it a one-hit wonder, or do you go with more of a sure thing who's a top 5, 10 kicker in the league? You go with the top 5 kicker, right? End of the day. So good for the Jags.
You just signed a guy that's making 50 plus pretty consistently.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
Yeah.
That means that you don't have to get as far
Yeah.
on any given offensive possession to almost be guaranteed points.
No, think about, So
guarantee is strong.
Yeah.
You know, he's not going to make every single one, but
right.
a much better chance that you get to what I guess like the 35.
Well, that was Patterson's limit, the 35, because that's 53, right?
Now it's like we feel almost positive we're going to get 3 out of this drive no matter what at this point.
Right. Or you can now go to the 40, 42 and feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like, instead of punting
and
or
you got
going
the best
for
returner in the league.
Yeah, right.
If you're returning the ball consistently to the 35, the 30, 35-yard line, a couple of first downs, you got points on your hands.
Which, brings us to the next topic, this kickoff thing, man. I think they're going to abolish the kickoff eventually. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, what if, just say there was no more kickoffs, right? Teams just started on the 25. That was it. Offense, first down. You scored a touchdown, you kicked the extra point. No kickoff, you start on the 25. I wouldn't like it just because it's not totally the game of football, but I don't know. Why can't we just make the kickoff a little bit more safer? I mean, they've done the best they could. You're going to get concussions. I don't think you can play football without getting a concussion. You're not going to eliminate concussions. I don't think you can. I don't give a shit what you're wearing. I can say that on Facebook, right? You know what I mean? I don't know. If you're worried about your kid getting a concussion, don't play football. Don't play rugby. They don't hit in the head as much.
I think what's happened this is my opinion, because of the constant effort to make the game safer and for the league to kind of save face in that regard and at least give the illusion that they're really caring about player safety.
Right.
Kickoffs have become the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
It's easy to say.
What's next though?
Yeah, I agree.
Punt?
I don't disagree. It's easy to say, oh, look at how much we care about player safety. We made this change.
No, right.
A change that they know deep down. A lot of people like kickoffs, but a change that they know deep down is not going to drastically affect how many eyeballs are watching the game. Versus when they were really cracking down on defensive hits a few years ago, there was much bigger outrage about that. But they know that deep down, no one's going to make that big of a fuss about kickoffs.
No.
I like what the XFL does, where they just have everybody that's not the kicker or the returner they're only like 5 yards apart.
Oh, right, right.
And they pretty much just do their lines.
Yeah,
just
kind of like a
closer.
punt almost.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I don't see the problem with that because it basically, by the time the returner catches it and starts running, it feels just like a normal return. It doesn't really feel any different.
Well, and here's the thing for me too, like, you're taking away one of the most exciting plays in the game is a kickoff return for a touchdown. Are you kidding me? Like, that just is an electric play.
Think about how awesome it is when Jamal Agnew, even if he doesn't score, if he gets to like the 50.
Just a little crease king, and then you're like, holy cow, here we are.
How much fun, and how much of an advantage that is, and how much that changes the game.
I know.
You remember in the Titans game here to end the season?
Yeah.
Jamal Agnew was killing them on returns.
Yeah, he was.
Killing them.
Yeah, he was.
And that was huge. That was pivotal in the game because the Jags offense struggled a lot in that game.
They did, no doubt.
So Agnew getting them to like midfield was huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll see what they do with that. I don't know. I look, they took out the wedge. I was fine with that. I was a wedge buster. It is what it is. It's okay. But I don't know. I say, because now it's like every non-returnable ball. So you kick it out of the end zone, it's at the 25. I fair catch it before the end zone, it's at the 25. I can squib it, but if I'm kicking it off, unless you don't return, you're at the 25. So why even have,
They're giving every possible motivation to not execute an actual kick return.
I agree. But then what about onside kicks? I mean, done with those? That's where I think guys can get hurt.
100%.
Anyway.
Onside kicks are really dangerous.
Yeah.
But I think it's because it gets run so rarely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably going to be at most like once a game.
Right,
most.
and kickoff return for a touchdown, how many a year?
Right.
Total. 5, 10? I don't know.
Probably not even
Not
that.
even that,
I
right?
would say,
Maybe
yeah.
5, maybe 3. 3 to 5. I don't know, but we'll see where they take that route, but hopefully it's not to where they abolish the kickoff, because then again, they're going to start looking at other stuff. And next thing you know, we are going to be playing. Maybe they should play without helmets and pads. You know, just bulk. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't know. Like, how do you make it safer? We'll see how that goes. All right, I do want to mention something about the stadium deal, because it's kind of pissing me off on Twitter. And I know you're a lot younger than me, but you're heavily involved in the community. Don't make this political, man. The stadium deal should not be political, whether we get a deal done or not. I'm just seeing people on Twitter just like, it's just like, come on, man. Don't sit here and act like the Jags aren't important to the city. And I know I'm biased because I'm a former Jag, but I'm telling you right now, the Jaguars, especially our early success, put Jacksonville on the map. They put Jacksonville on the map. I know for me, I didn't even know where Jacksonville existed. I was like, what, Jacksonville? Where's Jacksonville? It's northern Florida, northeast Florida. I'm like, well, man, I was going to Daytona for years where my parents lived. That's as far north as we go. Like, what's Jacksonville? My point is, don't sit there and act like they're not an important part of this community, and they are. They are the heartbeat. Not everybody loves football. We understand that. Not everybody loves our Jaguars. We understand it. But at the end of the day, the majority of people do. Just look around. Just walk around and go see all the people that are wearing Jaguar stuff all over the place, man. So just don't make it political. I did not vote for Donna Deegan, but I am pulling for her. I want her to be a great mayor. And whatever that means we're gonna find out. The stadium deal is a big part of it, but it should have nothing to do with the Democrats or the Republicans or anything about that. It's about just getting the deal done. And the city's got to protect themselves. There's no doubt. You got to be careful and just how much you're going to put out there, and can you afford it, and can you budget? I get that. It's not as easy as saying, yeah, we're getting it done. I get that. You got to go through a lot of different steps, but I'm confident that Donna's going to get it done. But let's stop with the political crap. It's so stupid. It drives me nuts. All right, let's move on. Jameson Williams didn't know the rule. Jameson Williams, the stud Alabama wide receiver who, of course, got hurt, came back last year for the Detroit Lions. I think half the year he played the last half of the year.
His first touchdown was against our Jags.
Well, they kicked the crap out of us that day.
That was his first game.
Gosh, I was so mad after that game. I was so mad after the game. I'm like, man, you just came off this big win. Let's keep the train rolling. And then they get just shellacked. Like, oh, I remember that coming in. I was questioning everything.
They figured it out.
I was. No doubt. And so did Detroit. For the record, Detroit figured it out.
If the Jags had not figured it out after that game, that would have been an unforgivable loss.
Oh, just awful.
Honestly, the only way to respond without it being unforgivable was the way they did. Just ripping off a million wins in a row.
No, I know.
Because they didn't lose again until Kansas City.
I know. They went on an incredible one. But he didn't know the rule that you couldn't bet on any. Well, you can't bet on the NFL. That's number one. So it's sideshow. He didn't know. Well, he says that he didn't know that you couldn't bet on anything, whether it's horse racing, whatever, other than football, when you're in or near the facility of your NFL team. Now, I got to think somebody told him, whatever. I don't care why, whatever. He didn't remember. Someone told him, someone didn't tell him. I think it's a stupid rule. Like, they need to get rid of that rule. Like, why can't I bet on a horse from the freaking parking lot of the Jags Stadium? Right. Who cares?
But if I get in my car and I drive 10 minutes down the road,
right. I can go, if I'm leaving the Jags Stadium, go over the Hart Bridge. I guess that's okay. Like, it's so stupid. That's when I like, come on, common sense. Bring it back, man. Bring it back. No, you cannot bet on NFL games, period. I get that, and I totally agree with that. Not your team, not any team, ever. I don't care where you're at, unless you're retired and you're done. Other than that, you should be able to bet on whatever the hell you want, and from wherever you want. To me, it's just a stupid rule. He's losing 6 games because of it. 6. And look, with Calvin Ridley, our new acquisition wide receiver, he had to sit out a year for, now granted, it was an NFL game, so that's why it's different, right? He did a parlay.
Much different.
And it was the team. He wasn't playing in it, but it was his team, a minuscule of what Pete Rose did, I guess, betting on his own team, that kind of stuff. So I get that, but I don't like this other rule. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. DirecTV reached another deal with hotels and bars around the country for their NFL Sunday Ticket. How about this? NFL Sunday Ticket has over 300,000 commercial accounts. Commercial accounts.
Oh my God.
300,000 commercial. I wonder what they charge each account. That's not at home. That's not people buying it at their house. It's the bars, the restaurants, and it's always packed. And it's great. You walk into a sports bar, they got all these damn games on. It's phenomenal.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I love that. I love that kind of atmosphere. But think of the money.
Well, isn't YouTube TV getting Sunday Ticket?
YouTube's doing Thursday night. So I don't know. No, DirecTV's the Sunday Ticket. Unless did they
YouTube TV
merge?
just bought Sunday Ticket.
I don't know. They're saying DirecTV redid it, so I don't know. I thought they just bought the Thursday night package.
That's Amazon. Amazon's got the third.
Amazon's got the third?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know YouTube was in the game there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That was like a big thing.
Well, then YouTube's in the hotels and bars. Whatever. NFL Sunday Tickets in the NFL. The reason I'm bringing that up is just think of the revenue the NFL's making off that.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Just think about that. They continue to swim in it. It's unbelievable. All right, I want to wrap it up with Jags talk real quick. OTA's in full effect. Media's only out there one day a week. I'm probably not going out. I don't know. I see guys running around.
I'll be out there.
Yeah. Well, you got to be out there.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get
That's
that
true.
footage and all that, and that's good. And it's good. I'm not into the hype. And I know we got to hype them a little bit because it's exciting. I'm just not into that. I want to.
If you don't like the faux hype, this is not the time of year for you.
No, I know. It's cool. Listen, all I want them to do is win, so I don't give a crap how they win, just as long as they win. And I will say this, seeing the one video of him doing the ladder and running the route, Calvin Ridley looks really fast. I mean, like, ridiculous.
You can always
Porsche
tell,
down the highway kind of fast. Smooth, too. Smooth.
At any level of football, but especially in the league, I feel like something that can really tell you how good a guy is if it looks like he's not really trying.
Yeah, it's easy. He looks smooth. I call it smooth.
But he's still succeeding in whatever play.
Yeah, hauling ass.
You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have to give 110% every single time to succeed. Because I've like talked to different like QB guys and stuff about this before, and like receiver guys, whatever. They're like in the NFL, you're not running unless you're running like a go.
Yeah.
When you're running your regular route,
timing,
you're not running 100% full speed because you won't be able to run you're running like 90-95 so that you can cut on dimes.
Well, the best cut on dimes at full speed, or at least close to it. Like Jimmy Smith, I swear he could get the full speed at his third step. I mean, he was so, and then he never gathered his footing on a cut. Like never had to gather to make the cut. Right?
It was just it's
just
cut.
Boom. I'm taking that outside or inside.
I'm going this direction. I'm now in this direction.
Yeah, and at a full speed. So whether it's 90, 95, or 100%, those are the most dangerous. Because look, the DB's sitting there going, I don't want to get beat deep. I don't want to get beat deep. The worst thing that can happen to a defensive back, a corner, is to get beat deep. One-on-one coverage, you call him toast. Remember that back in the day? You call him toast.
Why do you think Jimmy was so damn good?
He was. Because
Jimmy had every corner ever was terrified of getting beat over the top. So
Absolutely.
Jimmy had all the underneath stuff was just free for Jimmy.
Yeah.
Anywhere
because he could cut like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because he was such a threat, Jimmy could take one step like he's going. That DB's hips are flipped.
Flipping.
Every
Thinking he's going. Yeah.
They're flipped.
And that's when you know to cut. Jimmy always would tell me, he's like, I just wait from the Turner hips, T-Mac, and if it ain't a go route, I'm just cutting on them. They can't stop me.
If it's like a drive that you gotta have at the end of a game.
Yeah.
And on any given play, you just need to make sure you have positive yards, stay ahead of the chains.
Yeah.
Jimmy could get 5 yards on every single play
all day.
Just because of the simple threat that he's going to beat somebody deep.
Yep.
If he just threatens deep, cuts back 5 yards, Brunell or Byron later in his career, whoever just hits him.
Yep. Gone.
It'll never get stopped.
So Ridley, if he's even just a little bit of that, that's going to be a great thing. But I tell you one thing that I am looking at, because I was asked on the air earlier about what am I looking for the most. I want to see, and it's OTAs. And for the record, as a player, OTAs are important. They are. I'm not trying to sit here and say that out, but they are very important, especially if you're trying to make the team. you're still being evaluated. You're not hitting, it's not physical like that, but they still want to know that A, you know what the hell you're doing, B, you can do it at a high level of speed, and C, that you're just fully aware of what's going on the field, right? They just want to make sure that when they hit training camp, like training camp's not for teaching. Training camp's for getting ready for the regular season. Now it's for teaching, right? So you're going to make sure that you got to know every single coverage, front, technique, whatever. That's your job to
Especially
do that.
The rookies and
new guys, and even the vets. They've got to they show that, hey, haven't missed a beat from a year ago, still looking strong, know the game plan, know the book, know everything. You don't got to worry about me type of thing.
That's why coaches and QBs always talk about how they always stress the importance of getting that second, that third, that fourth year in the same system together.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because like now with Doug and Trevor, for example, being a year or two together for them, it's exactly what you're talking about. Even in this period, they're not really doing teaching anymore. Yeah. They don't have to take up any time to do any
start
teaching
over. They don't have to start over, right?
Yeah, they can just
start from scratch.
Right now is just shaking rust off so that training camp we're kicking ass.
Right.
That's really what it is now.
Well, and the new guys got to know what the hell they're doing, obviously.
Of course.
But that's part of it. But I tell you, one position group that I want to see how it works out is those inside backers. You've got, of course, Aluakin, who's your starter, and he will be. But you got Lloyd, you got Muma, and now you got Ventrell Miller, right? How are they going to fit?
Shaq still.
Well, Shaq's going to be the backup and probably short yardage guy and cut, on punt and kickoff, and he'll definitely have a role.
I don't
know if he'll see much playing time with those guys in front of him. I think he's still a valuable part of this team. I think they really like him. He brings a lot of what you want out of a football player, not only on the field but inside the locker room, weight room, and stuff like that. But I want to see, you've got so many options now that you got to imagine that Caldwell, the defense coordinator, is going to start playing around with some personnel. You know what I mean? I want to see Lloyd on the edge. I do. I want to see Trevon move down a little bit. I'd like to see them bring that bat package back. Joel Schmingy was our bat. 6'6", 275, and he would just roam behind three guys, and they'd work games with each other and rush the passer and all this stuff. And maybe Trevon Walker could do something like that. I want to see those guys. So those three guys that I mentioned, Lloyd, Muma, and Ventrell Miller. Like, what are their roles? Who's doing what? And even it doesn't matter who starts. Just because they're all going to play. They showed it last year. They're all going to play. But I think for me, especially Lloyd, I want to see Devin Lloyd up on the line of scrimmage, man. I want to see him rush.
You said this many more times than once.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something with moving Lloyd around, playing with him on the outside, sending him in.
Yep.
Because clearly last season, especially that back half of the year, he struggled a lot. And knowing where to go, being out of position, he struggled. And Muma just knew what to do a little bit. Yeah. But Lloyd is such a superior athlete that you have to figure out a way to utilize. He's just too athletic. So if you can get him on the outside, I think a perfect position for him. I know they're not running it, but if they ran a 4-3 and you put him on a weak side, like Telvin Smith played,
like Will linebacker.
Yes. Yeah. That would have been the perfect position for him. Yeah. But in a 3-4, I agree.
He's playing Will, though, in 3-4. He's not the Mike. Aluakin's the Mike.
Right. But correct me if you obviously know much better than me. A 3-4 Will is a little bit different from a 4-3 Will, right? They're
still covered. They're not as covered like they are in a 4-3, where they can just literally roam and just go to the ball, like you said.
Telvin Smith was one of the best. Perfect.
Oh, one of the greatest. Yeah. Too bad he decided to step away. I get it, but he was fantastic. I think. Look. Better athlete, and then you could be a better athlete, but not a better player.
100%.
You know what I mean? And you got to be able to.
But it'd be really nice if you could be both.
Oh, without a doubt. And I think Devin's got. Look, and you look at his stats. You're like, he had a good year.
Oh yeah.
He did. He struggled a little bit, but overall, he had a real good year.
In September, he was the best defensive rookie in the NFL.
Rookie of the month, didn't he? Or something like that?
He was insane.
Yeah, he was.
It was in September. It was like, okay, who's winning Rookie of the Year?
Yeah.
Him or Sauce Gardner?
Yeah, right.
And then he tailed off, of course. And by the end of the year, Sauce was clearly defensive Rookie of the Year. But there was a time where it was like, oh my God, this guy is Devin White.
Yeah, I think you got to move him around though. I think
agree.
you do. I want to see him in different spots, and
That's
I think
where
they've
I'm
got some creativity to do it.
That's where I'm a little scared.
Yeah.
Is his head was already spinning a little bit. How do you manage that as a DC?
Rush,
you know,
hold the point, or run to the flat. I mean, you know what I mean? You got to know the difference, but that's what you do as an outside backer. You're rushing the quarterback. You're holding the force in the run. The force means you're forcing everything inside. Nobody's getting outside you. Or you're dropping to the flat, or maybe dropping to the curl, maybe, you know, a little bit more of an angle back than straight out to the flat. But, you know, he should be able to handle. Look, the D coordinator's got to make it simple enough for these guys, too. It can't be too, can't overthink. Once you start thinking out there, you're done, man. You're a robot.
I think that might have been, I think that might be where Caldwell in year 2 is going to need to adjust a little bit because he came from Tampa, which was an extremely veteran defense.
Yeah.
Everybody playing significant time in Tampa were experienced guys.
Well, just remember their front four, though. Barrett, JPP, Vita Vea, Then they had Devin White and Levante David. I mean, talk about being loaded up front.
Well, talk about beasts, but also talk about experience.
No, totally.
All those guys were dudes that you're not going to confuse by throwing too much at them.
No, right.
So they could run all kinds of stuff without confusing those guys.
Yep.
Here, they've invested the draft capital to try to build a similar defense. It's just the problem is all these dudes except Aluakin are young.
Right.
I mean, Trayvon and Lloyd and Muma and now Ventrell.
Yeah.
And even Shaq is still not very old. You're dealing with puppies here. You're
in
dealing
that
with
regard,
dudes that are just. If you try to do a lot of exotic stuff, you're going to confuse the hell out of them.
Yeah. Great word, exotic, because that's everyone wants to have an exotic defense. I just want one that kicks the crap out of the offense. But you're right. You got to simplify that to a certain degree.
It's so funny because as fans, and because we don't know it as well, right? You would, because you play. But it's so funny whenever a defense is struggling, and you hear that the defense is relatively simple. Oh, why don't we just try different stuff and mix it up and do this and do that?
Yeah.
But then if the players get confused and they're out of position,
we're
just making things too hard.
Yeah.
You got to simplify.
Yeah, you can't appease the fans when you're not succeeding. That's for sure.
Fans don't care. Just win.
Just win. No
Play
doubt.
winning ball and it doesn't care.
Yeah. And I would say yesterday and we'll wrap it up with this. Yesterday on my Horse's Mouth TV show, I had head coach Jason Gibson and Dominic, what was his last name? One of their top receivers from Mandarin. Went to Mandarin High. He's a beast on the field. But we were talking about now it's a different game. It's the arena game, right? But they're scoring 70 points and giving up 65. I'm like, Coach, you even ever get mad at the defense? He's like, no. I just want them to hold them to less than what we have. That's it. I don't care if they shut them out. I don't care if they scored. He goes, it doesn't matter. And you feel like that's not the same with the Jags or the NFL, but that's Doug's mentality. Just outscore them, and that's the league's mentality. You want a good defense, there's no doubt. You know what? When you want a good defense, when you need a good defense, like championship football, when you got to get off the field, when you got to disrupt the quarterback, when you got to stop the run. That's when you need a good defense. Don't have to have an elite defense to be a Super Bowl champion, right? You got to have a good defense, no doubt. But you just got to outscore them. You just want to outscore the other side, and maybe that's the way it's going.
You also need, and the Jaguars had this, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They had a lot of shortcomings on defense, but what they did have was they had a very opportunistic defense.
They did,
and that's
especially down the stretch.
In my opinion, what you just said, and then an opportunistic defense are the two things you really need. You need a defense that when it's crunch time and you absolutely have to have a stop, they will get it. And then you also need a defense that is going to get turnovers. Because when the game is so slanted towards offense, and even the best defenses are struggling to get off the field, you need the occasional strip sack, the occasional interception, the occasional forced fumble. You need
return
that
for
stuff.
A touchdown.
100%.
Rayshawn Jenkins, Dallas.
Yes.
I mean, that's when you need those. But I'm thinking about it now too. Even with we talked about the kickoff and the scoring, and maybe that's where it's going to be. Like Arena, just outscore them. Screw defense. Just make sure you score more points. I mean, that's the name of the game anyway,
NFL
right?
has done everything in its power
for the
maximize the offense as well as big plays.
Scoring.
Outside of the kick return stuff, but that's a little bit different because the safety don't have whatever. But
yeah,
even now, because of the rules,
yeah,
like we're talking about, that they have slanted to improve
yeah,
the offense in games and make it higher scoring.
Yeah.
Teams, GMs have adjusted their defensive personnel to A, get faster, and
right.
B, get more turnovers.
Space, be good in
Yes.
space, you know, because that's how they're doing it. They're spreading it out. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting how they move forward. Every rule change has been for the offense to succeed.
Oh yeah.
I mean, remember
And to
they
keep
used to be able to
QBs
maul.
healthy and all that.
They used to be able to maul the wide receiver off the line of scrimmage. I mean, maul them. And we used to be able, as linebackers, if you crossed in front of us and the ball was not in the air, we could light you up.
You may as well have just stood in oncoming traffic.
Just take it down, and it was not a big deal.
That's the biggest systemic difference, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's other stuff that has changed the game in other ways, but the biggest thing to me is how much more receivers and tight ends can just roam the middle of the field.
See, that's the thing that kind of takes me. Like growing up in Chicago, we had safeties, Doug Plank and Gary Fetzik. And Doug Plank, he was like notorious. Like you were not allowed in the middle of the field. You come in the middle of the field, whether you got the ball or not, I'm hitting you. And that's because you think about it. Like, what do they have to worry about going over the middle these days?
Nothing at all.
What's going to happen? Going low, and they hate going low. The players hate that. Players would rather be hit up high than have a knee taken out and lose your seat. They'd rather be knocked out for a game than lose the year
100%.
due to a knee injury.
If I have slot receivers and tight ends that can freely roam across the middle and they can get from one side to the other, and I have much more mobile QBs that are willing to scramble to one side and maybe scramble back or maybe throw it across the field when traditionally it was always a huge no-no as a QB to throw it across the field. Right. And now we got dudes that'll do it with no hesitation.
Without question.
So
not even looking sometimes.
Right. Defenses used to be able to cut the field in half based on the circumstance of the play. Because the receivers on that side of the field were not going to be able to freely get to the other side. Right. And QBs didn't have the same capability they do now. Now you have to cover the entire, every last blade of grass on the field.
No, it's hard. It's hard when you can't be physical. Yeah, it's hard to cover a guy one-on-one in open space.
Impossible.
It's almost impossible because they know where they're going, you don't, and you can't dictate it because you can't hit them.
I'm only 25. When I was a kid, early 2000s, there would be. I remember when I first started watching football, there would be a fair amount, not a ton, but a fair amount of shutouts. Oh yeah. And teams only scoring 3 or 10 or whatever. The Jags shutout against the Colts this past season at TIAA, that was one of the first shutouts I've seen in a long time. I mean, it's rare.
Fantasy plays into that. They want to score. 100%. That's a big moneymaker too. Man, we could go on and on, no doubt about it. All right, that's going to do it. Thanks for being here, man.
Yes, sir.
Good job. This guy's pretty good, huh? I like having him on, no doubt about it. Graham Marsh, my producer, he does a great job cutting things up and getting this show on YouTube and all the other channels. Again, want to wish everybody a very happy and safe Memorial Day weekend. I'll be out at the beach. Got my brother Mike coming in town with his 2 boys. Looking forward to that. He's coming in for a week and to stay out at the beach. Going to have a great time seeing him and visiting. And it's a great time of the year everywhere to celebrate Memorial Day weekend. Of course, I want to thank Chris Lucero, Bail Bonds, the Carpenter Man, 1010XL, and my friend right here, Graham Marsh. Y'all have a great day and a great weekend. So until next time, stay safe and be cool out there, man. And we'll see you right here at Catching Up with Tommy Mack. Peace and love.